those 6 missing faces, imagine a young man who was about to get married, and he was one of those picked to be executed. He was there no longer. So he didn't get married, and the 4 kids that they were going to have didn't happen. And those 4 kids that they were going to have grew up and got married and were having kids, and 2 of them had 2 kids, one had 3 and the other had 6. And those kids wouldn't have been there. We've all looked at the pictures, the family reunions, those awesome pictures where there's an elderly couple in the center, and there's a huge crowd around them, and they're all as a result of that union of husband and wife. Think of the rippling effect that would happen if one of those couple had been aborted. All of those people wouldn't be there. But that's happening 6 times a month in your county alone. The rippling effect has got to be profound. There are people, school teachers, volunteer firemen, elected representatives, teachers, pastors, nurses, doctors. They're all missing from society because they were killed by abortion. We need to put a face with the carnage. And don't forget the silent victims. There are people with us and around us all the time who are victims of abortion. Mothers and fathers who have erroneously chosen abortion as a way out of an unexpected pregnancy, only to find out later that it wasn't worth the price they paid. As one who counsels post-abortive fathers, I can tell you that the emotional baggage and carnage is profound. We've seen cases of suicide, violence, divorce. Chuck Colson told me that the men in prison vastly have abortions in their past. Chuck Colson has a ministry to men in prison. So we need to realize that abortion just doesn't make you unpregnant. It makes you the parent of a dead baby. And that's a reality these parents will have to live with for the rest of their lives. Another reason we have to be faithful to the call. Now, I don't want to leave it there and say that that's the end, because we know that there's hope and healing for mothers and fathers of aborted babies. Through the blood of Christ, there's forgiveness. And when Christ said it's finished, he said it was finished for all the sins, abortion included. He didn't say those stiff-necked people, I'm only dying for the small sins and they're on their own for the big ones. No, he covered all of them. And perhaps abortion, killing our own children, is perhaps the hardest, cruelest sin we can imagine. But there is forgiveness and hope. And I've seen a lot of men and women, mothers and fathers, who have completed that road to recovery. So anybody who's hurting and healing, we can find free help for them, get them through that process. So we must act, and we must act with all our might and resources. We have to do everything that we can here in Scioto County, and everything we can in Cincinnati, everything we can in Boise, Idaho. All do our piece, put that tapestry together. The pieces are coming together. We're seeing more of the big picture as the pieces are put into place, but we have to stick with it. And I'm so grateful for our pro-life state legislators that are there. You are really, your husband and Terry, you're really, under the heat sometimes, taking the battle. And we've seen a lot of that heat reflected in the states around lately. So our hats are off to you, and we deeply appreciate your sacrifice.
It's a good heat.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a heat you can take. Yeah. Well, our son was served in Iraq, and we appreciate his service to our nation. Well, we appreciate your service to your nation too. And I'm glad that Angie mentioned Lila, because having been around people back in the 70s who were still there working, it just wouldn't be a fitting event if we didn't mention her and talk about her gift, her heart. Lila knew that the best things in life weren't things. She had that down, and she acted on that knowledge. She knew that the best things in life weren't things. And some of those that she knew was that a smiling baby's face was supposed to be aborted. That's a treasure, that's a jewel. A happy and contented woman who was suffering from post-abortion stress, who didn't know how she'd get through the next day, who found that hope and healing. That's a good thing. An elderly patient who was afforded true dignity and care, pain alleviation, support, emotional support, and true dignity in life. That's what's important in life. And it's important for those of us who have a closer walk with God, because we were His good and faithful servants. We have benefited as a result of being in the trenches. So the best things in life really aren't things. They're blessings from God that come from doing His will. You know, some people that we battle against and we deal with, you know, it's hard to love them. It's hard to see God's value in them. And I tend to think of them as slinkies. You know, they're not really good for anything, but you can't help but smile when you see one take a tumble down the steps. You know, those kind of people. We all want somebody like that. But they're elected officials or just somebody we work with. But God sees the value in all the slinkies and all the other ones too. And Lila wasn't a slinky unless a slinky goes up the steps, loaded with all kinds of passion for protecting unborn babies from the very earliest moment of conception to natural death. Let us honor her memory, and let us honor her love for the babies by picking up the mantle where she left off, carrying the legacy she started in this county, and continuing our work